Today we are celebrating the fact that the baseball season is on, and we are going to celebrate by looking at each sneaky card play that we have in mind for every position that there is in baseball. Let's check it out. So this is going to be part 1 out of 2 where we are going to look at each position in baseball and talk about the sneaky plays that you might be able to find for at least one player in each position. We're not going to be looking at prospects. We're going to be looking at guys that have been in the league for a little bit or for a while, because those places are where you can really find the lower risk, lower cost, and if they turn out to have a big year, you can really gain some money. So this is not saying like, hey, invest all your money in these guys. It's just fun to be able to speculate and to look at different players and different plays where you can make a little bit of money. And so I'm not saying I know everything to be like 100% foolproof, but I think it's fun to just start a discussion and see what the little sneaky plays can be. So today we are looking at the catcher position, first base, second base, third base, and shortstop. Then we're going to do the outfield, and we're going to do pitching in part 2. And so what we're going to look at, if you just take a look, actually is we've got the different indexes for the main like sports that are for cards. The only thing we don't have on here is hockey. Unfortunately, even though we absolutely love hockey, hockey isn't in the top 4 sports right now. Soccer has definitely taken its spot. But the reason why, not only because like the baseball season's starting, but I'm interested because if you look at the last couple years where the sports card market just got just to the moon, as the young ones call it. But basketball was the first sport that just went absolutely insane and just skyrocketed. And you can see that on the screen by basketballs in blue. And as you can see, it went up. And then, but what we really see here is that you see that football has now gone crazy high. And this is over the last like 2 years. And so you can see basketball started to catch up, and then it stayed steady. But it's crazy for me to actually look at just how high football has gone. So it's like basketball was like 2019 or 2018, 2019. It's like the Luka and the Trey year. You've got the Zion, the Ja year, and then but this past year was football. Like football just skyrocketed. Like even when like it was the middle of the season, usually when it gets people get a little bit bored and it dips, it just kept going higher and higher and higher. You see that by like Joe Burrow and how that blew up, and just like you see running backs and wide receivers getting a lot more love than just quarterbacks. And so we also see soccer. Soccer, you can tell, is just slowly moving up. But overall, soccer was worth like almost nothing, as you can see at the beginning. Like the index, value was so low. Like start value was 982. But you can see here, it's like basketball started at 5,000 to 30,000. Football 10,500 to 77,000. Baseball though starts at 4,107 and is only gotten to half of what basketball is. And so because people have been looking forward to having baseball, because attention was brought to it from the fact that there was the potential like long lockout, and people just want baseball, that the whole index, the whole baseball market was going up by like 3-4% even while all this was happening. And so might be baseball's turn this year to have the same kind of blow up like basketball and football and soccer. So that's why I kind of talk about that first. But what we'll do is we'll look at the catching position, the catcher position. So my sneaky play, unfortunately, like this doesn't seem super sneaky because Will Smith isn't like a vet. Like he's been in the league a couple years and he is a really good player. And so for me, let me just pull this up because I got my different points on each of the players. But the thing is, without getting into too much detail, he plays on the powerful Dodgers team, in all the rankings, like power rankings, currently the Dodgers are still number 1. They bring in a ton of runs. They're exciting. They've got great bats. They've got a really, really good team. And for the catching position, usually they're not as offensive. And so that's why people don't always love catchers. Like, they're super integral to the game because they're helping the pitcher out. They're the ones that are thinking through the strategy. It's really taxing on their body to be a catcher. And so the fact when they're offensive, that is like a pretty big deal. And for him, like when I looked at, there's like rankings on Fantasy Pros that talks about like dynasty players, and he is ranked number 1 for dynasty. And the only other young guy is Adley Rutschman. But yet again, Adley, he's going to be great, but he hasn't proven himself yet. Where you can see Will Smith has already proven himself. And every other catcher that's kind of for the dynasty is like someone that's like in at least like 30 or 29 to like 33. But Will Smith is definitely younger, and he is overall cheaper than JT Realmuto. He's cheaper than Salvador Perez. Adley is just super expensive, and so if you're going to want to make a play, Will Smith is the cheaper option, and has already proven himself and is on a really good team. Because right now his Topps Chrome update, just like the base card, that's kind of how I looked at each player. I looked at just like the very basic card to see where they were at. PSA 10 is $35 American. But let's see, we're going to take a look a bit at like some of his stats. And so if you look, he's really only had his he played 54 games when he was 24. He played 37 games in like the shortened COVID year, and then he played almost the full season. Well, for a catcher, 130 games is a good amount when he was 26. And we can look at his OPS. Like if you're in like the high 80s, going up to like the high, not 80s, the high 800s, high 900s, just over the 1.0 mark for the OPS, like that means that you're doing really, really well, like offensively. And he's always like in his first 2 years, he was in the 900s. Now when he's 26, he's in the high like 800s, and you look, he can hit 25 home runs, which is great. He brings in RBIs. His batting average isn't bad either, and so overall, like, he's a very offensive catcher, and so that's why I'd be looking at him. He is young. He's young for like a catcher. Like he's turning 27, or he is 27 already, but he is pretty good. Let me check to see what his WAR is. And so just picturing WAR, it's like an advanced statistic for those of you that don't know, that it's wins above replacement. So just how much more valuable are they than like an average player, and that just shows their worth like to their team and how good overall of a player they are. And so like Mike Trout, who's known to be like one of the best, like known to be right now the best player, he can have anywhere from like a WAR of 8 to like 10, which is like super high. I was just typing Will Trout there, just mixing the names. Okay. Will Smith. Okay, so his WAR right now, so 3.5. That's like not the best in the world, but 3.5 isn't terrible for a catcher. But yet again, he is still young, and I'm looking at like exit velocity for his hitting. For average, he's above average. He's way above average for hard hit percentage, so like he can hit the ball. So that's my sneaky play for Will Smith, just because he is one of the cheapest options out of all the main catchers right now. He's ranked number 1 on Dynasty rankings, and he's already pretty good. I had him in my pool last year, and he was great. So that's Will Smith. Next one, so this is for first base, is Chris Bryant. So Chris Bryant, like what does he already have? He has like Rookie of the Year. What else does he have? Rookie of the Year. He's got MVP already. He's got a World Series. He's got like everything that a player would want, or what you would look for for some young prospect. You're like, oh, I want to buy this prospect because maybe he'll be MVP, maybe he'll be Rookie of the Year, maybe he'll win a World Series. Chris Bryant has done that already. And there's a very strong potential that he is traded and on a different team and on a contender. If it's like, could be like the Yankees or Boston or whatever, like he can go to any team. And so usually that brings a lot of hype to a card and to a player if he gets traded on a new team. So, oh, what is he going to do now? He did have a down year during the COVID year in 2020, the shortened year. But after that, he rebounded last year. So when he got traded and he went to San Francisco, it was crazy because he left the Cubs, like his team that he was with for forever. But and he did decently well. But what I noticed is that in the playoffs is where he stepped up. His batting average was .471, so 471. And he was like clutch for them. Yes, they didn't win the World Series, but he turned it on when it mattered most. So he's a guy that can handle the pressure. And he can also play so many different positions. He can play around the infield, he can play in the outfield, so he's versatile. If we look at his Topps Chrome base, like PSA 10, it's $52 US or American. And so he would be my sneaky play because he is exciting. We don't know where he's going to go and where he's going to land, but that's going to bring hype. He isn't priced out like compared to like a Shohei Ohtani or Vladdy or Tatis, because he's been in the league for a little while now. And so this is like the kind of the age range where they're still relatively in their prime, because baseball players can be older and still be really, really good. But people don't get as excited because, like, okay, he's had his accolades already. And so Chris Bryant, let's just take a look at, there's some of his statistics. And so you can see he's had 4 All-Stars, 2. He was in MVP contention in 2017, as well as in 2015. But like we look, his overall like OPS is like 858, 939, 946, 834, 903. Then he had a rough 2020, like I said, and in 2021 he definitely picked it up. And in total, like his batting average wasn't amazing, but he still got 25 home runs, 73 RBIs. But if we look at like his prime years, like 39 home runs, 102 RBIs. Batting percentage just under 300. Really, really good stuff. And if we're going to look, let's take a look at the WAR. Always got to look at the WAR. Okay, Chris Bryant. So his WAR, like 5.3, 7.3, 5.7. And then it started to go down a bit after there, and where last year he had a combined of like 3.3, which isn't amazing, but I mean, it's a bounce back candidate. That's where you're going to find prices are lower because they're having a bit of an off year, and then he can jump right back into it. So that's why Chris Bryant is one of my sneaky plays. Okay, now for second, DJ LeMahieu. So he is a guy that's probably, he's a little bit older, but he had a really, really rough year last year. I'm just going to jump right into the statistics for him. So he's already, like, this is the oldest guy that I have on the list here. So he's going to be 33, but if we look at what he's done, like, before last year, like, batting averages are over 300. His OPS is 1.011 in 2020. Like, that's crazy good. Crazy good. Like, his OPS plus 178, which is crazy good. Like, so even though he's not hitting dingers 24/7, so like he only had like 10 last year, had 10 in the COVID year, but he had 26 the year before. For someone that's all more about like getting on base, playing defensively, really well. That's not terrible. Let's look at stolen bases. Okay, stolen bases not crazy. He had a lot more when he was younger, like, see, 18, 10, 23, 11. But he had a really rough year last year, because like he did well with New York in 2019, 2020, and then 2021. So they found out that he had a sports hernia, and I have a friend that's had a hernia, and it's the worst. Even like watching him after having surgery, just super painful, really difficult to move. Like, and to be a professional athlete to have a sports hernia must be terrible. And so that was nagging him the whole year. So if it's just literally the injury, and it should be better for this next year. And even though I hate to say, because I'm a Blue Jays fan, but the Yankees look like they'll be a really good team this year. It looks like, yeah, Josh Donaldson even went to them today, I think, trade for Gary Sanchez. Maybe that's wrong news, but I saw a bit of a rumor out there. But DJ can turn it back on, and his costs, I swear, they're like not high at all. Like PSA 10, like rookie is $55 US, but I looked on eBay and I was just looking at what they were selling for right now, all these like other cards and like numbered cards and all that, and they weren't high at all. Like, I know he's a little bit older, but yet again, he's still got a couple years left, and he's on the Yankees, and they could definitely be in contention. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Yeah, looking at the 2019 stats, pretty crazy. 26 home runs and 102 RBIs. And then he came in, like, to the plate 109 times. So yeah, really good stuff. Okay, for shortstop, this is my favorite one. I always really like Trevor Story. My brother and I have always kind of like had a heart for the Colorado Rockies when we played baseball. So it's funny enough, Jones and I both actually played higher level baseball. Like, we played on teams that were called like the Rockies and stuff. And I really like Trevor Story. He had some swag to him. And he's probably going to get traded. He's probably going to go to a contender, and his prices aren't very high. And just like with Chris Bryant, like, it is going to bring hype to him. People are going to want to buy his card, and he is really good. He's really fun to watch. And so if we look at his statistics, we can see that he's got his two All-Star years in 2018, 2019, where he had like 37 home runs, 35 home runs, 108 RBIs, 85 RBIs. His OPS has been in those 2 years over 900, and out of his 6 years of playing, he's had 3 years where he's over 900 in OPS. His slugging percentage is high. His batting average stays like in the high 200s for at least 3 or 4 of his years, and he's still in his prime. Like, I would say for baseball, your prime is like 28 or like 27 to like 30 for baseball. Sometimes a little bit younger, but usually they can be a little bit older and be in their primes. And so even if we look last year, he had 24 home runs, 75 RBIs, and he wasn't on that great of a team. He steals a lot of bases. Like, I'm looking 27 stolen base, 23, 15, and 20. So that's not bad at all. Oh, fought the sneeze. But he's a guy that I really like. And like, he is elite if you look at his statistics. He will be traded. He did have some injuries last year. He's in his prime years. His Topps Chrome PSA 10 is $57 US. So you can see a trend that all these guys, their like Topps Chrome PSA 10s are all around the same price. And comparatively to all like main 4 guys, you got Acuna, you got Vladdy, you've got Tatis, you've got Soto, you got all those guys, and their prices are just super high. And because some of these players, their cards are older because they're from like 2012, 2013, or 2016, the print runs weren't nearly as high, and so there's just a little bit more value to them overall. So Trevor Story is a guy that I really want to look into this year because he's going to get traded. I love the look of his cards. He is an elite player. He'll probably go to a contender. So for number 5 for today, so the last kind of sneaky weasel pick for baseball in this video is third base, Jose Ramirez. So for him, like, for dynasty rankings, he is super high. Like, I think for the position, he's like 2nd or 3rd, if I can remember correctly, which means if you're talking about dynasty rankings, it's like long-term look. Like, not just are they the best right now, but for how long, and they compare those with like prospects and veterans and all that. And so he's ranked, like, if you want to pick a guy and hold on to him for a while, he is one of the guys to pick. So like, he is not like a very attractive like card to go for, because like I don't really know too much about him. He doesn't have that kind of personality. Like, oh man, like I know Jose Ramirez, like he's in the news and all that kind of stuff, but he is a solid player, and just bringing in the statistics and the numbers, even though he's not super well known, like he's flying under the radar. Like I didn't realize that his statistics are elite, like really good. Like his WAR is like in the mid 7s for like 3 out of the last like 5 years, which is really good. So he's very valuable, and the Cleveland team is not that strong of a team, and so he's been a really good player on not such a great team, and so he's not as attractive to the market yet. But there's also, once again, trade rumors. Like I know even the Blue Jays were looking into him, and other teams were looking into him. So he goes to a better team, like he's going to like definitely pick up in the market for sure. So if I'm looking at his statistics, like he is in his prime, like he's 28 turning 29. But if I'm looking like OPS, it's usually what I look for, like high 800s. He's in the high 900s. He's just a stud at batting. And we look at RBIs, like he's got years where he's got like 39 home runs, 105 RBIs. He's got 29 home runs in another year. Last year, great year, 36 home runs, 103 RBIs, 27 stolen bases. I actually didn't even realize he was that fast, that he could steal a bunch of bases. Like he's come in like 111. So last year he had a great year. Great year. And so I think he's going to be super good for the next couple of years. And I'm hoping he gets traded. And his card prices, like again, the top's like rookie PSA 10 is only $56 American. So all of his cards can go up. Like I've been looking at his different cards. Like they're harder to find because he is older. Like his rookie year was 2013, and so even if you're looking at some like, I guess, Bowman cards or any cards that come right like when he's in the minors and all that, like comes even earlier. But he is a sneaky pick for sure. Like I've watched him play when he plays the Blue Jays, and he's always super clutch. His WAR, like he's super valuable to his team. Yeah, he's a guy that I would definitely go for. And so those are my kind of 5 picks. And so this is part 1. Part 2, we're going to go through outfielders, and we're going to go through pitchers. And yeah, this is always fun because I want to hear what you guys think about these picks. I want to hear about who you guys would go for, because on my list of who I could pick for each position, I had multitude of guys. So I had to narrow it down to just one and why. And I'm going for guys that are not the prospects, because those prices are so inflated already, even though they're super exciting. But these guys, they still have some years left. Like, you know, like some of them, like it might be a little bit older, but some are still in their prime. So they got multiple years. They're going to be traded, go to better teams. Their card prices are lower than these prospects. If you buy them now and they have an amazing year, they'll skyrocket. Like think of like Marcus Semien. Like card prices weren't that expensive, and they're going to skyrocket. Like it. Yeah, you look at any team, they probably have one player that's like mid-range in their career, and they've been really good, and maybe they're not that exciting right now. They've had an off year. You go for them, and they kill it in the year. That's where you're really going to make a decent amount of money on those cards. So I'm not saying that this is your get-rich-quick scheme, but this is always fun for me to talk about. I love looking into statistics. I love looking at different players and plays and guys that people aren't going for, and figuring out how to make my money move a little bit more. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was fun. I'm excited for baseball to start. I was super sad when I was thinking about a lockout. It's going to be great. See you guys next time.